What's up, guys? Welcome to Resume Game Episode 4. My name is Lee. I'm joined by Mike.
Hello, hello.
And filling in for other Mike tonight is Peter.
Hey.
And tonight we are talking about PlayStation 1. This is our PlayStation 1 appreciation episode. Because
Yes.
PlayStation 1 was such a good system. We're going to be
Yes.
talking about our favorite games, our favorite moments with the system. But first, let's talk about a little history with the PlayStation. So, PlayStation started out as a collaboration between Nintendo and Sony. It was supposed to be an add-on, a CD-ROM add-on for the Super Nintendo. Did you guys know that? You didn't know that?
You're asking me.
Did you know that,
Yeah, I
Peter?
like you.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So it was supposed to be an add-on for the Super Nintendo, but
It makes
Nintendo,
sense.
yeah,
Because, I mean, at that time, you had, like, all those consoles examining what they could do with CD technology.
Right.
And, you know, over in Japan, you had a lot of add-on concepts that were being developed and eventually executed. So, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but unfortunately, Nintendo broke off the deal with them in favor for Philips and their CDI,
Yes.
and we all know how that turned out.
Victorious.
Oh, man.
Turning Link into a rubbery-limbed freak with swim face.
Oh, buy me.
Squad alive.
But
Oh, don't worry. That's just me dropping stuff. Hi, folks. No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm still healthy.
so I mean, I'm just I'm wondering, like, what would gaming be like now if, like, that deal went through with Nintendo and Sony? You think like things would be a lot different right now?
I mean, well, I guess I'll answer that in the sense of you're saying that Nintendo would have had,
Ties
if they
with
would have
Sony.
went through with Sony, you're talking about two things, Sony and CD technology. They would have probably had an edge in CD technology. I mean, Nintendo's notorious for having an edge in handheld gaming. So, but they actually merged with Sony. If that ever, I mean, I don't even know how that would work in the United States because they're two huge companies. I don't know if that would be of any risk of any sort of, you know, beginning of a monopoly at that point. Again, this is many years ago too, before, you know, but remember, you know, there were issues, you know, with, you know, when that fell through, then that became the issues of who would be getting games as we go down the road too. So it's really interesting because there have been certain titles that would have been more Nintendo. I'll get to that a little later. But
I heard
there's, you know,
Sony's one of the bosses at Sony was so mad that Nintendo broke off the deal with them that they went ahead and made their own system. That's how the PlayStation 1 was born.
oh, it was a rage birth. Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yep.
all right. So where are we moving along with this? You want to talk
Let's
about?
talk about, I guess, our first memories of the PS1.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing. If I can real fast, I'll just cover it right now so I don't, like, bore the audience later with it. Talking about possible collaborations. You know, Final Fantasy VII was one of the top games on the PlayStation 1, right? Okay? You know, mind you, that was from, at then would have been, I think was still Squaresoft. Don't think they were Square Enix yet at that time. And, you know, remember, Nintendo was Final Fantasy. On the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, it was all them. It was all them. Final Fantasy, you know, Squaresoft, I heard there were some very bad talks with that, and there were some breakdowns. And I don't remember the details, but I remember reading about that stuff when I was younger. And, you know, you had that situation where now, you know, Squaresoft's like, not forget that. We're just going to go to Sony and go right to this new platform, use the multi-disc concept, and everybody knew how the sales went from that point on, which is really interesting to go with your.
it's cool how that worked out, like the 3-disc, 4-disc games.
Yeah,
How they
and
made that work.
really, and it's interesting because now I have Final Fantasy VII again because I'm the nut who buys, like, the redos and everything, and I have it for my PS4 because it gives I believe they were first on the PC version where you could just speed up through a fight and have infinite health. Because I just want to play through the story again. And I'm not really caring about the grinding again. And
Oh, that's what I love about the ports that they're making, like for
Right.
the PC, because those cheats are for people who have already played the game
Yeah,
like a dozen
it's-
times, and you don't.
yeah, they're
have
not
time
saying they're not encouraging cheating. It's for those of us who already know and, like, we just want to go through and relive some memories again. You know,
We're all adults
Yeah.
here. We don't have time for level grinding anymore in games we've already played a decade ago.
Only
so.
fast level grinding, which I guess is kind of a, you know, sure. So, yeah.
But dude, I remember the first time I ever heard about the PS1 was before I was in 5th grade, and you guys remember Pathmark? How they used to rent Super Nintendo games at PacMan
Yes.
for like $1.
Yes.
So two of the games I played heavily as a kid were Mega Man 7 and Mega Man X2. I played the shit out of those games. And 5th grade, a friend of mine told me there was a Mega Man 8 for PS1. I was like, well, I have to have that. So I begged my mom for months, my poor mother, to get me a PS1 just so I could play Mega Man 8, which we all know now is not a very good game.
No, which is
all.
amazing you said that, except the first thing I thought was, ooh.
But that's how I got into the PS1. I started with Mega Man 8. Terrible game now. But I loved it as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I remember for me, like, okay, so when I got the PS1, I remember it was early on. I didn't get it day one or anything, but it was pretty soon after launch where they only had, like, maybe at this point there's only 10, 15 titles maybe. I don't really remember. But, you know, I had all the AR consoles. And I remember when I went in, I bought 2 different games. And I bought them only by what I saw on the box. Mind you, this is a time where print advertising was still a boss. And, you know, it's just whatever you see in the magazines, what limited commercials on TV, if you saw them on TV, okay?
Yeah. You had to go by the pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I've been torturing my wife recently because I've been going on YouTube and watching like tons of retro video game commercials just because I feel like it, and I don't remember most of them because I didn't watch that much TV. But I remember all the splashy print ads in the video game magazines, and so I go to the store. I got a PS1. I know I begged my parents for it. I don't even remember why I really wanted one. I think I wanted it because I was really excited. It was a Sony console. And because of Sony's name, I mean, our house is already full of Walkmans and Discmans. So, like, why not? Yeah. I bought 2 games. The first game, I forget the name of. I doubt it's on some of these lists there in front of me here. It was this horrible, like, I think it was like a mech shooter. It was like a first...
Warhawk?
It wasn't Warhawk.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't Warhawk. I don't mind Warhawk. I didn't mind Warhawk. It was, I forget what it was called now, but you're like in a mech, but it was a first-person shooter style, and it was awful. I couldn't tell you what it was. Maybe I'll find it while we're casting. We'll find out. However, the game I did get that like brought all my friends over and we played for hours was Battle Arena Toshinden 1. Battle Arena Toshinden is cringeworthy, okay? But it had one element that blew you away when you were a teenager at this age, which was where you would use your L and R bumpers on your controller pad, right, to strafe 90 degrees in 3D space around your opponent. You know, we're used to Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. We're used to just these, 2D side scrolling, fighting games that are just, that's it. They're 2-dimensional. Now, it really wasn't, every time you did a special attack, it just went on one axis. Like, there was really no range. A couple of characters had, like, some wide attacks that could go around a quarter of the stage. But you had this 3-dimensional aspect, and we were all in love with it. It was seeing who you could juke out and who can get the attack afterwards. Or you were just a pack of brats and one person would juke to the right, the other person would juke to the left endlessly, and we just start doing circles around the stage. Nothing really happened. So, yeah.
Speaking of weird fighting games, you guys remember Urges? Or Urguys?
Urguys.
You ever heard
Fist
of that,
of
Peter?
something, something, something.
Yeah, it was some weird fighting game that had Final Fantasy VII characters
Absolutely
in it.
did.
And, who else was in it? It was a Square game, right?
It was a Square game, I believe. I think so. I know that because a lot of characters I think were characters just for the game. The only characters I remember would be Cloud and Tifa. I know they're both in it. I forget if anybody else was. But again, that was kind of a weird fighting game also. Were there like different jumping mechanics in it or something too? I slightly remember.
I actually never played it.
Yeah, I thought there was like something with like there's like I don't know. There's something a little slightly different to it. Yeah.
But,
so
I mean, while we're on the subject of Final Fantasy, I can say one of my favorite games, and Peter can agree with this, was Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah. Final Fantasy IX is because it's funny you talk about a multi-disc, and I actually lost disc 3 of Final Fantasy IX at one point.
Nice. I lost discs at times too,
and it was just kind of I was like, it's bad.
But that game was so good, man. It had a rich story, memorable characters, and it was probably one of the first games I played with like a really heavy story full of characters, and there's some dark themes in that game too, like
Yeah.
really dark themes.
Yeah.
I was 12 years old at the time. This is like heavy stuff, like finding out Zidane's a clone of himself and his life is worthless, and it's
Yeah.
like this is
Yeah.
Yeah.
heavy subject matter.
Yeah.
But that game was amazing. I played hours on it with my PlayStation, and it had the built-in portable screen.
Yes.
Like that was like
Awesome.
I think it was the PlayStation. Didn't they just call it PlayStation 1 when they remodeled it?
Yes.
Yeah. I
Remember,
believe
like the
so.
thinner. Yeah, I had the PlayStation 1 and I had the portable screen, and I remember playing like Final Fantasy 9 so much, and then I remember playing Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX
Yep.
and getting furious with it to the point where I jammed my controller through my portable screen. and
Yes.
broke it.
Yes.
You said it was sticking out of the screen, right?
Yeah, like it went into the screen.
Yeah, well, that was that had that depth behind it. It'd be easily
Yeah.
be done. Sure, it is. It's like a mini.
That's how
mini CRT.
infuriating
Yeah,
that
I mean,
game
yeah,
was.
right. Yeah,
Immediately.
that's great.
It's bad. But yeah, Final Fantasy
But
9
I mean, Final
was,
Fantasy
was
9 was
amazing.
amazing. I mean, Lee knows because he heard me talk about this on and off the cast. I'm a big fan of the old school Final Fantasies. That's what I grew up with. Final Fantasies. Like I told Lee before. Final Fantasy 4 and 6, aka 2 and 3 on the Super Nintendo, made a major impact on me. Kind of like how 9 would made an impact on you. But 9 was a very charming send off to the old style RPG.
Yeah.
It was a very charming way to do it. I mean, right now, it's running through my head right now is the overworld music is going through my head right now. One of the best overworld tracks in Final Fantasy is that music. I love that song.
Which one? 9?
No, 9. When you're
Yeah.
roaming the overworld,
Oh, yeah. That game had great music. They all. Yeah, it did.
I absolutely love that. I love it. I probably listened to that song more than I probably played the games. I never did beat the game. I'll be honest. There's a lot of people I'm bad at not beating games. I know what happens, but
For shame.
ask people. I'm notorious for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever play Tactics? I wasn't big on that. I'm not a strategy RPG guy.
Chocobos.
No. Played Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 9, and dabbled in 7.
Tactics is interesting because, just on a quick note, it's so weird. It's so repetitious. It's so repetitious. So, it's nothing. It wasn't any different from any other top-down 3/4 strategy game, turn-based strategy game, but that job system in there was money, and that's what sold everyone. That's what sold grinding nuts like me, and the plot actually got into the game was pretty cool, but it took a long time to get to the cool point in that plot, and for some people, they're not got the patience. Not at all. So
Yeah. PlayStation 1 actually also launched the music genre with Parappa the Rapper. That's considered one of the first rhythm games.
Kick, it's all in the mind.
I remember having those demo discs. Do you remember those
Oh,
demos
yeah, it was
that had
all demo
multiple
discs.
games on it?
Yeah.
That's how I
That's
God,
kind of how I
and-
played most of my games. 'cause
Exactly.
I couldn't afford to buy games
yeah,
as a kid.
and I remember that game being on that.
Or is the inverse where they got sales from me because they know it would work. For example, what was that Square game? Hold on. It was the Brave Fencer Musashi.
Oh, I was going to bring that up.
Because that came
I knew
packaged.
you would have heard that. I knew
came
that.
packaged with the Final Fantasy
Final
VII
Fantasy
demo.
8 demo.
8 was a
Yeah.
7 or 8. Oh, one of the other ones was 7 then. Okay, that was the 8 one. That worked for
Dude,
me also because I played it. One of
was
the other
such a
games
good
that came
game,
with
man.
7. Okay. Because
It had some corny voice acting in it, but it was a fun RPG.
It was a fun RPG. It was fun. It was an odd departure from what I was used to for Squaresoft at the time. Or if it was for everyone, because everybody thinks, oh, Squaresoft turn-based RPG, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm just looking through, but I'm trying to think of like earlier games because there's other games later on that I can mention, but I'm trying to think of really what hit me early on.
You guys
know?
play Jammer Lemmy?
No.
That was always I like that more than Parappa. That was kind of the unofficial sequel.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought.
to,
That's what it
Parappa
is.
the
Yeah,
Rapper.
I didn't. I only played the first one. Yeah, no.
Oh, you never played Jammer Lemmy? Either of you guys?
No.
It's
Nope.
so good.
Nope. I'm looking at my list here, and I see some names here that are flashing back to me. I mean, I can mention obvious ones like Resident Evil, but I'm not right now. I'm just saying next to see on this list here. But I will say this, Spyro.
Oh,
yeah,
Spyro the
everyone
Dragon.
knows, yeah.
Speaking
Love Spyro.
those demo discs.
Yep.
one of them had a Spyro demo from the
did it?
first Spyro. That's all I got in Spyro. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, that was-
Yeah. I mean, Spyro was fun. That game is still fun.
Yeah. I never
Yeah.
beat any of them, but they were fun from what I've played.
I beat Ripto's Rage. I played the shit out of that game.
So, in terms of like different titles, I'm glad to see it's on this list here. Mind you, when I played my PS1, I played a handful of Street Fighters, some action games, but I grew up with RPGs. That's what I played, is RPGs. That's been my bread and butter. Two games I want to mention. One was I remember when I played Star Ocean Second Story. Okay, the game wasn't really amazing, but it was one of the earlier games. Chrono Trigger had already done this in the past for Super Nintendo, but it had like a bazillion different endings. I want to say it was like 20 endings or something like that. It was crazy. It was crazy. And they weren't like crazy in-depth endings. It's all sprite-based, but they were different endings based on your party, what decisions you made. So that was pretty cool, and it had that wonderful futuristic atmosphere that was embraced in Star Ocean later on in future games.
Did you ever play Chrono Cross? Yeah. Okay, then. I never did, so I guess that's your review of it.
Fortunately, in the world, there are locked boxes for exclusive things. One of them is a locked box that's called Chrono Cross, and we lock in box.
Okay, Chrono Cross is in the box.
Stays in the box.
What are some of your favorite games, Peter?
Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey,
Oh, I never played that.
and Oddworld, Abe's Exodus. Those two games were
Yes.
amazing. And I also had there was a movie that came out called Small Soldiers.
I remember
And
the Small
I had
Soldiers.
the movie tie-in game because like I when I had PlayStation, when I was a bit younger than you guys, so like my big thing was getting taken to Blockbuster with my mom,
Yes.
and like getting the really crappy Disney tie-in games like Toy Story, Bugs Life game, but the Small Soldiers game, for some reason that game was actually like decent. It was like a third-person shooter, and like in the multiplayer, it actually like it had like vehicles like a mech vehicle. And it was actually a pretty good game, viewing through the eyes of a small child for a movie tie-in game at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously the three Spyro games I played, the original Ripto's Rage and Year of the Dragon, Final
Hey,
Fantasy IX.
Going back to Blockbuster, I remember I rented Final Fantasy IX from there for like a month straight, and Blockbuster was calling me saying other people want to rent it and you need to bring it
I
back.
constantly owned Blockbuster late fees. It was crazy. Craziness.
Yeah, but it's like, why don't you have more than one copy of the game if you're gonna?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
You're
Is
gonna
that
let,
funny?
If you're gonna let
Especially,
people,
especially
keep
at a time where top movies, they'll have like 50 tapes, but they'll have like, or like,
Tapes.
you know, tapes, and like, you know, I'm talking when I was getting games when I was a kid. They'd figure like 50 like
Yeah.
VHS tapes, and then there'd be like one cartridge. I'm like,
Yeah. They only ever had one copy of every game. It was annoying.
Yeah.
I remember not to talk about this episode extensively, but I will say, when I was a kid, I was always losing my stuff because the one game I really wanted to play was what was that game for Nintendo? Mystery Mansion? Was that what it was called?
I never played it.
Oh, I think it's called Mystery Mansion. And like I to this very day still haven't played it. I wanted to. I'm sure I could play it now, but wasn't on my list right now. But when I was a kid, it sure was, and I could never get it. And I would just like lose my stuff. Meanwhile, like, you know, video rental stores, man, I don't get that. It's just so weird how long they've been around. It's so weird. I mean, now it's, you know, different, but back then it's like, and they're all over the place. I remember I'd beg my parents to drive me to different branches, and I would keep failing.
Yeah.
Location didn't matter. You still were destined to fail. So
Yeah. In a lot of ways, there's like just the availability of games like dictated what you played. Like
Yes.
now with the market,
Yes.
you know, with everything being so expensive, like at least for me, like you have to be so selective in a game. Because like back
Absolutely.
then,
Well
you
said.
you kind of just play, like I said, like I played like the Toy Story tie-in game, or like Bugs Life, which were just awful games.
they were, but you played them.
But I played them, and
Right.
I played them a lot.
Right. I mean, I remember literally in a month, I could be playing 2 games. 2 new games.
Yeah.
Some way, somehow. Okay. Now, I got a list of games that are on my must-buy list. My God, I think it's under 8 titles. because I'm just so selective of
Yeah,
what I
dude.
expect.
I've definitely gotten picky about the games I buy now
Yeah.
because they're so like
You
you
have
said,
to,
they're
they're
so expensive.
expensive.
Like I
And
look at
time-consuming.
reviews and gameplay videos way before I buy anything to know if I'll get a lot of replay value out of it.
I mean-
it's a chore like picking out new games these days.
So talking about like major groundbreaking titles, I want to go to real fast for this since we're talking about PS1, right? And I'm looking here, I see a couple things, but one of them that everyone knows is Metal Gear Solid,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
which, oh my god, did I ever beat that game? Nope. Do I know what happens? Yes. But I never beat the game. I found myself sandboxing way too much because you could really sandbox in that game when sandboxing was new. I mean, I think GTA 2 was out at the same time. GTA 3. I'm sorry, GTA 3. I'm trying to remember which one was first. But I mean, I was in like the area where the next boss was Psycho Mantis, and I'm like, I could go through the stage and fight Psycho Mantis, or I could go in the men's room and line up trip mines in front of the urinals and just wait for guards to walk in and let the hilarity ensue. So I did that a lot instead. Yeah. Yeah. And it just showing that, now games gave you, you can make your own decisions as you go through. You're starting to get out of that linear format.
Right.
So,
I only ever played a demo of Metal Gear Solid. I was never like geared towards the stealth games anyway.
I'm
So
not.
it's
That's why I was too busy putting explosives in bathrooms, it seems, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about game-changing games, we must talk about Jet Moto.
Jet Moto.
Wow.
Never played it actually.
I have. Wow, that just brought back some serious memories. I would never
Jet
follow
Moto.
Jet Moto. I would
Jet
never follow
Moto.
Jet Moto. Oh my god.
There were 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so.
only played the one though. It was like, oh, you want a jet ski that can go over land? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to try the 2 tricks that aren't really in the game, but you're gonna try anyway? Yeah. Dude, Jet Moto. My brothers and I played Jet Moto a lot. It was awesome.
So, so again, another game that was very popular. There's some sleepers I like to talk about too. But first, have I or you ever played Soul Reaver?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, that was the second game, right? Okay. So the first one I think was I believe it was just Legacy of Kain, but Soul Reaver was, and it's totally different from the first one. Totally different. You had that now 3D explorative, a la like original Tomb Raider style, right? That game had awesome plot, a absolutely ridiculously fantastic main character, and a game that featured voice acting that was of good quality, something that wasn't very prominent at that time, and really brought you into the story of the game. Wonderful game. I mean, I see that all the time on like top classic game lists, and it should be, absolutely should be. I mean, that might be one I'll rebuy again, from like the Sony store or something for my, PS3 or 4. It's not available for the 4, I don't think, but I know it's out there for the 3. I think, pretty sure.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Legacy of Kain on the Dreamcast, not the PS1. I think they re-released it on
They
there.
did. They did. Yes, that's right. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yes, they did. Yeah. But let me think here. I mean, are we talking about Crash Bandicoot?
Oh, I mean, it wouldn't be a PlayStation 1 episode if we didn't. Great games. I'm playing the remasters right now. They're really good.
Is it good? Okay.
Oh yeah, just as hard as the old games.
Oh, no thanks.
But yeah, Naughty Dog made a few beyond the 3 too. They made Crash Team Racing, which was really good.
I remember Crash Team Racing.
Remember Crash Bash? Did you
Which
guys ever
one's
play that?
Crash Bash?
Crash
With the
Bash, that
Mario
was kind of like the
Party
Mario
thing?
Party type game.
Oh, I'm unaware of it.
Oh, you never played Crash Bash?
Nope.
Oh, it was good.
No. Was it? Do you say it's better than Mario Party or no? Yeah, probably not. Well, it depends which Mario Party too. There's
Yeah.
a lot of mix and match with that question.
Yeah, right,
So
right.
yeah,
I think those are the only 5 Crash games that Naughty Dog made before they sold it to Activision, which ruined the series, unfortunately.
Activision. So, again, however, we're talking about all these new upgrades to gaming. We're talking about, 3-dimensional depth. We're talking about much larger stories. Some stories so big they spanned over multiple discs of content. But the PlayStation 1 also had initial rights to games that were just superior upgrades for their predecessors. Okay? Example that I'm talking about is Castlevania, and that would be Symphony of the Night. Okay? Symphony of the Night is one of my top favorite games of all time. I put that right up there with Chrono Trigger.
I never finished it.
It is so good.
I got to where the castle inverts and you have to go through it upside down.
Oh, yes.
I got like halfway through that.
I was like so crazy trying to do like the crazy jump so you can transform to the bat. I'm trying to get into like the nooks and crannies, or not the Batman, it's the gas form, whatever it was, because I'm trying to get that 100% map completion. I never cared about things like that. I cared about it in that game, and I don't know why. I mean, the fighting was intense, but not too difficult, and it was grinding. But you didn't feel like it. It felt like a fast-paced Castlevania.
Yeah.
And I would grind a lot because I always want to go to a shopkeeper buying new things and everything. I just kept doing it. It was really fun. And again, another classic game with what? Awesome voice acting for its time. Another one.
What is a man?
Yes! Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, love it. Love it. But yeah, I mean, because it can be a stretch once the castle inverts. Because you gotta go through. Blah,
That's
blah,
kind
blah.
of how. That's kind of where I fell off. Cause
Yeah.
I thought it was over after I got through the castle the first time.
At that point,
And then I have to go through it all over again upside down. I wasn't feeling it after
but
that.
At that point, that's where your appreciation then for the grinding would come in, and your desperation to keep increasing your powers and everything, and that really played well. That played really well in the game developers' hands doing that.
That game did pave the way for future Castlevania titles too.
It did. It did.
Pioneered the best formula for that game.
I mean, I don't know if any to have matched that game, but yes, that's been the formula they've worked with. Absolutely.
I don't know, man. My favorite one's Order of Ecclesia. Did you ever play that one?
I play it some. I mean, but it might be also because I'm so picky.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm picky. I am partially biased.
I thought it was great because like the first 10 or 15 things in the game, you're bouncing around different locations all over the map, and then you have to do like the full castle at the end too. It's like the game starts at the end.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to think here.
Do you guys remember Monster Rancher?
Oh
yeah.
Talk about like
where's the disc? Which CD do I need? Which album do I need?
Yeah, right.
The novelty of putting a CD into the PlayStation to get a random monster.
Yep. I absolutely love that.
I played that so much.
And I remember in like the early internet days, you had websites that would have lists of certain music CDs that you would need to unlock the best monsters.
Really?
Which is hilarious.
Oh, what was it? I always thought it was just random.
No. Okay, well, actually, disclaimer, I really don't know. But I do know that there were lists out there that apparently were proven repetitious results. That if you had certain discs, you would get certain monster.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. I thought it was random too.
Yeah. Right. But like,
I remember taking like my brother's Merlin Manson CD or like my dad's like Beethoven compilation.
Yeah, and see what
just
you get.
Just random like Tim McGraw, Beethoven, Merlin Manson, White Zombie.
Yep.
Because it was the 90s, Korn.
Just did you guys ever play Digimon World?
No.
Yeah, a little
if you
bit.
raised them wrong, they would just digivolve into poop.
Is that what happened?
And then that's
really? Really?
Yeah.
They would just digivolve.
They would turn into whatever was the poop form.
They become so you have if you have Ikakumon, he turns into like Poopamon. Is that what happens?
I don't remember. All I remember is if you don't let them go to the bathroom, they digivolve into the poop Digimon.
Stoolmon.
Stoolmon.
Fecalmon.
Really?
Yeah.
So because they can't poop, they become poop.
Yes.
Is that what I'm getting here?
Pretty much, yeah.
What the hell?
That's how that game worked.
That's quite a way for a game to work.
I was really bad at it.
I'll make sure to keep up on the relieving schedule for my main characters in future games. Okay.
So you said you got a PlayStation within relative from when it first came out.
Yes.
I remember my older brother. This is how I played PlayStation because my older brother had it. do you remember some of the box designs for the early games were like long, rectangular,
Yeah,
cardboardish?
performance, and that's where I got these games from because they were the original long boxes, and
Yeah.
they were like the 11-inch by like I'd say 6-inch box design.
Yeah, almost like a PlayStation 2, but like cardboard.
Longer, yeah, and also kind of reminiscent when you would go to like the old music stores like Sam Goody and all them, and you would get like the CDs and they're in like the extended holders for a reason, and like it was like that length, and because you had the long box art, and it was like a cardboard material, and you open it up, it's like a shoebox opener, and then it they were out for a good while until you went to standard jewel cases. It was a while. Yeah, that's a great point.
It came out around the same time as the Sega Saturn as well too, because Saturn had the long cases too, right?
Right, they had long case too, but they were more of like a formatted size. These were a little more awkward, I would say. And now that you said that, I distinctly remember Warhawk's cover on that.
Yes,
I
exactly.
That's the first game I thought
one of the first games my brother had.
Absolutely. I immediately think of that. Yes. But I mean, but they had story reminiscing PlayStation. I like to talk about some more games, and I will, because I have a couple I have to touch on. But let's talk about me and my quest of destroying consoles. Okay, ready for this story? Here's how it goes. Interesting enough, PlayStation had a flaw in their instruction manual. It was very interesting. This was clarified later on. I had a very bad thing happen. So, I bought my PS1, and I had bought it from, I believe, EB Games. Okay, so, okay, I got my PS1, I'm doing my thing, and it was great. Working, whatever. One day, my controller pad stops working. The hell? It's just not responding. Alright. Go to the store. They look at it, it's defective. You bought the extended warranty. I sure did. We'll get you another one. Great. Took it home. Day later, it's not working again. I'm like, what? Yeah, now I'm a very nice customer. I mean, I'm not going to go back and flip on people. I go back to the store again, and they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and they're not sure what to think of me at this point. Okay? So they gave me a third console. We're not done yet. Not done yet. So I figured out kind of what was going on when I got console number 3. The memory card. As you know, they had memory card slot 1 and 2 on your traditional, where they're like 8 megabyte memory cards, maybe even less than that, maybe 4 megabyte, whatever it was. So, okay, you would put the card in the slot, but the original manual didn't tell you when you should or when you should not remove the card. So I was getting confused if I should be operating that card while the machine is running or when the machine is off. Okay? And I remember when I got the third console, I was talking with the the store staff, and they were very concerned as well, because they were still my argument. And they're saying, well, in a lot of forms, it's safe to do it while operating. So I did. And it burned out almost right away. Because what happened was, by moving the memory card in and out while the machine is operating, caused a power surge inside the system. It blew out the part of the motherboard that communicates to the controller ports. And it wouldn't burn out the whole port. It would burn out like your left and right on your D-pad and half of your buttons, literally. Okay? I then went back, got my fourth console. Good news is, never had problems since, because I took care of memory card stuff while the console was off. I was freshly reminded I've certainly exceeded my warranty. If I continued problems, I probably would have went right to Sony on this, because I didn't have the information. And ever since then, my PlayStation 1 I had was very happy until I got rid of it many, many years later. But yeah, that was one of my memories, because it was new then.
Was that only while a game was playing it would do that?
It would be only when no.
So I remember like going into the memory card menu, I was always pulling them in and out, like switching, like, copying files over.
And see, that's what I was doing. No, and that's what I was doing. But then, like, but for me, it would be like, for me, it would be like, well, I guess we were playing a game, because I might not have the memory card in, so I would put it in when it was time to save. Because remember, before that, I didn't have a console that used removable memory. Okay? You think, none of my 16-bit or 8-bit systems had that. It was just drop in, and either the game didn't save, or it saved with a horrible 20-digit long code, or, it saved on the cartridge. So it was a new thing. And yeah, that was one of my memories. That was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
That never happened to me.
Yeah, well, a lot of things happened to me.
Whew. Man, let's go back to Brave Fencer Musashi for a second.
Sure.
That game was awesome. You remember when the zombie outbreak in the town, you had to go zombie bowling
Yes.
to get one of the relics?
Oh my god, yes.
That was such a ridiculous game.
I mean, well, yeah, it had that, and again, it was kind of like, you know how in a previous cast we were talking about Goemon,
Oh, yeah,
Ninja.
Goemon.
It kind of had that same
Yeah.
serious yet clownish feel. It
did
had that
remind
same,
me- it
but that
reminded me
same
of Goemon.
charm.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
I wish Goemon would come back.
Goemon is.
Goemon hasn't been around since like 2005. I think he had a DS game that never came out here.
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say I
now-
didn't even know there was a DS game.
Yeah, they just
Okay.
use his character on like Japanese slot machines now. That's all he's used for.
yeah.
I don't think Goemon's coming back.
No,
in the
I'm
grave,
not sure about that
unfortunately.
either. So,
Yeah, Musashi was definitely like Goemon
yeah,
in some ways.
I'm looking here.
You guys ever play 2 or 3 Extreme? 2 Extreme and 3 Extreme?
I slightly
It
did.
was like the downhill racing game where you could either be
Yeah.
on rollerblades or a
Oh
skateboard or a
yeah,
bike.
yeah.
Slightly
yeah,
did. They're
that,
never
that
my
was,
cup of tea.
If you
that was
get next
another
to-
demo
yeah.
game.
Yeah, you play, yeah, and if you get next to people and press like the shoulder buttons, you could just punch them until they fall on their ass.
Yeah, that,
Great.
but just talking about like sports, but I mean we can't not talk about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater
Oh, man. Dude, I
1 and 2.
Remember the cheats you could do in that game where you just like fly in the air?
Yeah,
You just go all the way up. Like that's all I would do in that game.
That's one. I
cheats
think
were so
I
much
will
fun.
give, especially Pro Hawk 2. I give it a lot of credit because those are not my games, but I played 2 like nuts.
Tony Hawk's Pro
Nuts.
Skater 2. If there's like a Hall of Fame or
Yeah.
something, that
Yeah,
game
that's
goes.
nuts.
And
I
when-
always did like big head mode.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
There was so many different kinds. These games were awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man.
So.
Cool Borders.
Cool
Ooh,
Borders.
Cool
Yeah.
Borders.
Wait, wasn't that on N64? Or no, that was 1080. I don't know.
Was there Cool Borders on a PlayStation?
I'm
I-
trying to
I
remember.
remember
Maybe
it.
later.
Yeah,
I
it
think
was
later.
PlayStation. Yeah.
I remember a demo game being like on a snowboard. So I could be wrong.
For now, we'll say you're right until we are proven otherwise.
But they brought back a lot of like old games and like remixed them a lot. Like
Mm.
Frogger, they changed up Frogger a
Oh,
whole lot. It was like
yeah,
a big
sure.
adventure game. It was a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
yeah.
And then
Yeah,
they had the PacMan World game.
You beat
ever
me
play
to it. I was
that?
about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that was such a
Yep.
good game.
they brought Primal Rage to the PlayStation 1 from the Sega
Mm-hmm.
and Super Nintendo. Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
Yes,
Mortal Kombat.
as well as
Yes.
Mortal Kombat 4 with the animality. Liu Kang turns into the dragon. And just that was from the second one though, right?
I don't remember.
There was like a big animation I remember in the fourth
I
one.
believe
on
Mortal
PS1.
Kombat 4 was the first Mortal Kombat where they did 3D fighting
Yeah.
stadiums. Was that for PlayStation? Because I remember only playing that for N64. I don't.
N64 and PS1.
So, okay, right on.
I think that's where Quan Chi came in.
Yeah, Quan Chi. Quan Chi.
I mean, talking about I mean, trying to think here from. Because you mentioned like Pac-Man, and there was another. I mean, I was a big fan of the Arc the Lad series. I still have the box set. I think the box set's actually for the PS2.
Of what?
But Arc the Lad was
Oh,
a
I've heard of
Arc the
that.
Lad was a top-down action RPG.
I never played it.
It was trendy for its time. It had a fan base. I think it still might, but
Yeah.
I remember that game.
You remember the opening of Pac-Man World where his family's getting terrorized? They're just like putting sacks over their heads
Yes.
and pulling them.
Oh my god, yes I do. Yes. Like
You just like break into his house and Miss Pac-Man just screams. It's just like,
you know what I'm gonna do? I have an idea. So I'm gonna put down my microphone for a second so that I'll get yelled at. Now I'm gonna get up. You two are gonna keep talking, right? Because right now today, disclaimer, I dragged everyone to my locale, we'll say, for the production. And I'm going to go to my magic cabinet, which has a ton of old games. And I'm going to look to see what's in there. Just curious. Because, I have like a bunch of GameCube games, but I don't have a GameCube. Thank God I have original Wii still. I have a bunch of PS2 games. I don't have any way to play them now because my backwards compatibility PS3 went bye-bye a long time ago. So to just sit here. So give me a second. I think I have some PS1 games. And I'm going to gently put this down. And I'll be right back.
Right
All
on.
right,
Man.
then. Mike has gone to the magic box, so it's just you and me now, Peter.
We can talk about Oddworld Abe's Odyssey.
I never played it.
Was one of my favorite.
Was that like a
PlayStation
platformer?
One. It was a platformer. It was like an original old school platformer, and it was cool because the protagonist had like few means of dealing with enemies other than possessing them by chanting, rubbing his hands together. It was a very interesting game, and they never really did anything. They had a sequel called Oddworld Abe's Exodus, and then for Xbox, the first Xbox, you can't call it Xbox One, they came out with kind of like a spin-off, and then that IP just kind of died.
The only thing I remember about that game is on the cover art, he had like his own can of soda or something.
Yeah, everything was like, it was based off like these giant manufacturing companies turning the protagonist species of alien into like meat. And the whole thing is you going around rescuing your people from getting turned into meat. And it was a really, really cool game. A lot of fond memories.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. I think it's on the PSN shop for like $5. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
You should definitely give it a try if you like old school platformers.
Man, dude, platformers are my thing. Well, Mike's back from the magic box.
I have a plethora of goodies, and I'm not going to go through every single title. Like, let's talk about every single one. We'll be here for 5 hours. But just to recap, okay, so right here, again, all right, PlayStation. This is the Arc the Lad collection box set. Okay, there's like extra goodies in there and stuff and whatever. I mean, it wasn't cheap either, but it was a great value. I think it has 4 games, but I think the one game is more like half a game, but it has Arc the Lad 1, 2, and 3 on there. Lunar, Silver Star. Now, we talked about this in a previous cast. That came out in the Sega CD. Okay, so they re-released them a couple of times actually, and the ones I have are the the box sets that have, looks like what does it come with here? 3 game CDs, 1 music CD, a making of Lunar 2 CD, an art book, Lucia's pendant she will wear around her neck because she's from Planet Whatever, and exclusive character mini standees. Don't kid yourself, they're actually little foldable triangles that just had the faces printed on them. They weren't statues, okay?
That was a U.S. release you got there?
This is a U.S. release, imported? Yes it is.
Oh, wow.
And then Lunar 1, same deal. This one came with 2 game CDs, music CD, made behind the scenes, excerpt from the official strategy guide included. Apparently, the original strategy guide, which I did have at one point, I don't even know what I did with it, probably thrown in the trash. It was worth something. It's worth something now if you have the original strategy guide. It is worth something now. And then a full color cloth map of the world. Mind you, one of my favorite reasons that I love these box sets is it has the cute little pink and white logo, which is Working Designs. Working Designs, rest in peace. I absolutely love them. They created a handful of games for Sega CD that were then, some of them you see here, re-released for the PS1, and I absolutely loved most of their games. They did Popful Mail, and they did Vise, at least I assume it's pronounced Vise, and they're just, little RPGs with anime cutscenes basically, and Popful Mail is more of a RPG side scroller that action game with the cutscenes. Nice. It's I mean, those are, I never got rid of them. See, I love the design, always loved the artwork in these games, and I never got rid of those box sets, right? They're beautiful. I mean, what am I going to do with them? They've been collecting dust for at least 10 years, if not longer, because I haven't touched them. you know, but I just love the fact that they had this wonderful artwork. So just to refresh you guys, of course, I do have my Final Fantasy IX.
And you never finished it.
Nope, but it's there.
You gotta go back and finish that game. It's so good.
This is Star Ocean, second story.
Yes,
okay,
I've
this is
seen
what I was talking about. Engage in a multitude of mini events and cover over 80 possible endings. 80.
Wow.
Okay. Not that this is a groundbreaker, but Final Fantasy Chronicles is one of the first ones where they
is that the one that's 5 and 6, right?
This one's Chrono Trigger and 4.
Oh, okay.
Because the 5, 6 was came after. Because, as you said, re-releasing games, they started doing that when
that one was Anthology 5 and 6.
and then you'll notice that this is Square Enix at this point.
Yeah.
Take a look at 9, you'll see that's Square Soft. So
wow.
at this
they
point,
changed
when
the
Square,
Enix store in
oh yeah,
PS1
and when
era?
Enix
I didn't know
came
that.
in, they started raking in the bucks by releasing these re-releases at that point.
They're
since they had
terrible
rights.
re-releases, though.
And you know what's funny though? I like SquareSoft and I liked Enix. Then there's Square Enix, as people say, Squeenix, right? I mean, I'm doing wrong. I still like them because I want my games. Love you guys.
So, like,
Please give me my games.
The battle started as slow as like 7, 8, or 9. Like even if 4, 5, and 6, like they had the the dissolve. And it took so long for a battle to start.
Well,
you can't have that for like an old Super Nintendo game.
Well, yeah.
It'll take forever to get
right, that's right.
Yeah.
Now I
Battles
remember
took
talking
forever
about-
to
yeah,
start
right,
up.
Sure
And
was.
I remember in 5 and 6. That's why I never played them on the PS1.
I did like
never
the
got
fact
through
how
them.
they did recently the Final Fantasy IV, the After Years.
Oh, I never played that. That was on Wii, right?
It was
That was like WiiWare.
And I think it's on other versions now too. Only play it if you are looking for punishment, because it is a traditional, old school, hard JRPG where your resources are nil and your enemies are plenty tougher. Okay. RPG Maker. Okay.
Oh,
Love my
I remember that.
RPG Maker. RPG Maker was real fun. The interface did work for what it was. Had one major problem. How the devil do you save anything? Because memory cards could barely save anything significant. Your RPG was basically like 3 rooms, a plot, and 2 fights.
Yeah.
If you want anything more expansive, you are out of luck.
I didn't know it came out for PlayStation.
Yep, that was the
I
first
had
one.
it for the PC, so
Sure. And they made many. Now they're up to our. Well, I have whichever one I got from Steam. I have that one too. Where it is
Okay.
now. You know, I forget what it is now.
They're putting
RPG
one out on
something.
I think 3DS this year or next year.
Oh, I think it's out. I just saw it the other day at
Oh,
Best
it's already
Buy,
out?
actually. Yeah, I was looking at that. Yes, I was looking. I'm like, RPG Maker. I saw it at Best Buy the other day. Yes, I did. Yeah. Am I buying it? No, probably not. But, you know, and here's your Final Fantasy Anthology, as you said, 5
get
and
it
6.
out of here.
Okay, all right. Don't get too angry. I'll get to these in a second. But first, Grandia 2. Grandia 2 is on most greatest hits. Grandia 2 was your immersive 3-dimensional RPG fights, so now they have better graphics.
Was it turn-based?
It was turn-based still, and it had more like vibrant worlds, pretty good plot. That eventually spurned other Grandies in the future, which in my opinion were all pretty good games, except for the fact that, you know, because the thing with Grandia is, with that there, okay, so a huge error. I don't want people blasting my face, okay, because that'll happen. That's Grandia 2. Okay, that is a Dreamcast game in his hand there. That's not PlayStation. Grandia 1 was for the PlayStation. Now it's more old school that spurned games like this in the future. So Grandia 1 was the one that was on PlayStation. I don't have it. I used to have it. I don't have it anymore. As you say. So the last 2 here on my stack, okay, first off, lesser known title, but popular amongst those from the generation, is The Legend of Dragoon.
Oh, I never played that.
Fabulous game. It's nothing exciting. It is a turn-based RPG. It's martial artists, and I believe when you do your attacks, you would select combos, and you have to hit the buttons at the right time, like in Parappa and so forth, and that made your combo higher. But then when they reach like limit break mode, they would transform into Dragoon Knight mode. And they would equip this badass looking armor, and each one had different powers. Oof. You know, it's like your water one, your fire one, your earth one. It was really cool. It's a really cool game. Graphics, yeah, they're trying with it. But for the concept of time, you couldn't beat it. It was, you know, RPG where your characters visually, you know, get enhanced. That wasn't always the way in RPGs. Just better looking special attacks, you know? And last on here, my baby, and that's Xenogears.
Never played that one either.
Xenogears is the stuff. Xenogears also makes me cry because, as you know, there is Xenosaga that came out later on, right? Then there was what was the one now, Xenoblade, whatever it is.
Is that part of the same series?
it like I said, makes me cry because they're all spin-offs of the concept to develop it. The Xeno, from what if I remember correctly, Xenosaga was stuff to happen before Xenogears. And Xenoblade, I think, is way in the future or something like that, or in a parallel universe. I don't remember. But this game was a wonderful game where, you know, you would have, you know, two different ways to fight in an RPG. Standard turn-based RPG, you had way one, which was your heroes that would fight, blah, blah, blah. And if you wanted, you would summon your mechs. And, they would come out, your mechs, also known as gears, hence Xenogears, and, they would come out, because the bad guys have mechs, or there's big bosses, you have to fight them in mech form, but if you really want to be a big bully, and say you're fighting a bunch of, enemy, foot soldiers, you could just fight them using your kung fu combos and stuff, or you could summon your mech and just step on them. It's hysterical. But it was a really good game with one of the best plots I could think of. It is a fabulous plot. I desperately, desperately, desperately want my Xenogears 2.
Did they release Xenogears on PSN?
They released on PSN, yes.
I think I'll check it out.
Yes, it's very good. It's very good, but it's old. It's old, so you have to get that into, it is slow. It's also slow. But it's... I want a Xenogears 2 so bad that handles what happens after this game. It is one of the things I still want from when I was a kid. Never happened. They always when they did Xenosaga, I was like, oh, and it's a trilogy. I was like, oh, I'm super excited now because I was waiting, like, oh, this is gonna be great. I get to find out, see what's going on, and it never happened. It was this prelude, and I'm like, with all these other characters and everybody's joking, so they had the JRPG at all anime cyber chicks. Let's go for justice and stuff. And I'm like, no, where's the awesome characters? No, what happened? And I was like, Yeah. And it's interesting because I feel that we had talked before about games that they stopped producing and continuing with. And I think this is a great example of just on the whole, because when you had PlayStation 1, there is tons of ingenuity happening behind your games. And, when you're a younger gamer being literally romanticized by these games, boy, you just want more of it. And it never came out. And it's interesting because you kind of forget with new consoles or anything. I mean, I'm back in playing Xenoverse 2 again. But then I stopped and think, and I pull these games out. And right away, I was like, where the hell is my Xenogears 2 at? It's just amazing. I mean, I am one of the yuppies waiting for my Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yup. Give me my memories. I don't care. It's in a different container.
I don't know about that.
I don't care. I'm a yuppie. I said in our cast, I'm a yuppie.
I don't like the
Here's
whole
my
episodic thing they're going for.
And what else are they going to do? Are you surprised by that?
Just a cash grab, or
Probably. They're going to release it in 3 different games. Mm-hmm. The whole story.
Yep, they're going to do cash grab, and I don't blame them. I mean, do I think it should be? Probably, obviously not. I mean, it's my wallet. But, I mean, can I stop them?
People are joking that, you're only going to go through the game as Cloud, and if you want the other character stories, it's going to be DLC.
That would be hysterical.
Episode Prompto.
That would be hysterical. Don't mention Prompto. Stop that. Don't bring that game up each time.
Did you see the episode Prompto is going to be a third-person shooter?
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
Third-person shooter?
Gets a rifle.
We're just going to run around? What?
Shooting chocobos.
Ugh, garbage.
Final Fantasy IX remaster would be pretty
That's
rad.
one of the few ones that haven't been yet.
That's what I'm wishing for.
And because I think one of the reasons they have it is because you look at the hour ones, 4, 5, 6, 3. They all had that sprite lookiness that was already in 9. So redoing 9 might be a little bit more difficult. 'Cause how are they going to handle that to make it as redefined? But I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
I would love to see that happen. I
I'm
want
sure
that.
they will eventually.
I want that, and I want my Final Fantasy VI redone. That hasn't been done yet. I want that done too.
That will be too.
Yeah.
I imagine 3DS for 5 and 6.
Yeah, I mean,
then,
hustle up. Let's go. Because
they'll get to 8 and 9 eventually.
8, I can leave 8 by the wayside.
Yeah,
I did not like 8.
I wasn't into 8 either.
Oh, 8? Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
we didn't talk about
Squall and
8.
Crew.
8,
I didn't talk about 8 because I didn't feel like talking about 8. And I'm sure, like, all the fan peeps out there will be like, oh. But, like, I mean, I just wasn't. I wasn't. Again, I do admit that Final Fantasy VII is not a great game. But its characters and plot, while not very deep, kept me enthralled with them. And it's so weird because I when I replay it again older now using with the mods and everything, yeah, the plot's like, meh. I'm like, really? That was it? Oh, that was the end to the game. Ooh, forgot that. And but 8, I could not get into 8.
None of the characters were interesting at all on it.
I wasn't in there. The close one for me was Zell. I like Zell, but I wasn't enamored by any of the other characters. I never was.
And when there's like a weird like side story with that one dude, Laguna, what's his name?
Well, Laguna was.
What was that all about?
Well, because okay, let me think. I get this
It was
right
about
here.
sword guns.
Because he had just the machine gun, and everybody else had the gun blades. Because Laguna, I think he was parallel universe. I think.
Oh, it was.
And that's why it was.
I thought
like
it was
a
like
crossover.
dream sequence or something. I forget.
Oh, I don't know. It's something like that though. I don't remember.
It's
But
Squall's
I didn't
dreams.
care. Maybe that's what it was. I don't remember, and I didn't care. I just
Yeah, I maybe got to like disc 2 before I gave up.
Yeah, I
Further
think that's
thing.
as far as I got was Dix 2, and
Further
I
thing.
can't remember anything.
I think like when the
From that
seed
game?
headquarters becomes your ship and you just fly it around the world map. That's where I got lost. I was done.
I was mad at the very beginning when you had to keep fighting Spider-Bot down the hill, and there's like 5 boss fights in a row, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you doing this to me? Can I do something else? I was already pissed off at that point. Are you
I
kidding
hated
me?
the draw system for the
Forget that
magic.
garbage.
I hated the junction system.
Garbage.
It was terrible. It was convoluted as shit.
I mean, I know a lot of people also hate on the materia system from 7, and I don't blame them. But it wasn't like 8 was a huge upgrade over that either. I mean, I didn't really. I'll be honest, like you guys are much bigger fan of 9 than I am. I'll be honest, I do really like it, but I gotta tell you, after 7, it was a long time for you till I really fell in love back in the series, and that was 10, and that's in our console. So
You guys remember like the extender cable you had to buy for PlayStation if
Yes.
you wanted more than 2 people to
Yes.
play?
Oh, the multi-tap.
Yeah, the multi.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I do remember
It's
that.
funny. I just remember being at such a drawback from like an N64 where it just had the ports on the actual console.
Good point. Yep.
I was like, no, you gotta go buy this separate thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy. The general controller design still more or less in use.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
It's
pretty.
a little different with the PS4. They did update the controller look finally with the PS4.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Okay.
Just slightly. I mean, there's a touchpad in the middle.
We talk about the PS4 controller
It's like the
pad?
first controller to really
Have like
change
a
the
redo.
design.
Yeah, because
redesign.
all PS3, you're talking about PS3 controller pad is just a more natural feeling with a bit more weight than 2 was in terms of controller pad, because 2 kind of built on 1, and 2 was the one that came out the DualShock and everything.
The only
then
difference
3
between 3 and 2 is like the pressure sensitive shoulder buttons.
Yes,
That's pretty much it.
And 4, me living on a PS4, it's a different. The touchpad in the middle, meh. I mean, it's not in the way if you're gaming at all. But do I use it? No. But it is a very smooth feeling controller pad compared to its predecessors.
Oh, yeah, I love
yeah,
DualShock
yeah,
4.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm looking in my lists. I don't see much else that I would like. I'm sure there are things I could think of, but I'm not seeing anything that's really standing out. Yes, I played Tomb Raider 1 like crazy.
Tomb Raider.
And I keep getting mad. I keep seeing Chrono Cross because that shouldn't be on any list. Shouldn't be on
Was
any
that
list.
skeleton game? Skeleton dude?
Oh,
Medieval or something?
medieval or medieval, something like
Yeah,
that.
it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like-
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
medieval.
you're like a skull. Like he I think he was a knight or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
That was another.
Yeah.
That was
I
another
remember
demo
that.
game.
Man.
Those demo CDs were really really awesome.
Here it is. Medieval. Yes.
You guys remember Twisted Metal?
Oh my God, how do we not talk about Twisted Metal? Twisted Metal.
Damn.
Ugh,
You
dude.
know why? Because there's like Twisted Metal Blackout now, which is garbage. That's probably why I forgot it.
Yeah.
I am not a big fan. Oh, classic Twisted Metal 3, meh. 1 and 2 were excellent.
Yeah,
oh
those are
my
great games.
god, I
Use
love
the
1 and
cheat
2.
codes and get Minion.
Oh, Minion! Yes,
tank?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
That
yes.
game was awesome.
Oh my
There's
god.
a lot of hours
Great
playing
call.
with my brother with that game.
Yeah, that was good.
I mean,
Axel, the dude with like tire arms.
yeah, because he was just like inside
Yeah,
the tire.
he
He's
was-
like strapped in there. Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
I don't know, like they're shooting each other and he's just sitting there with
Just chilling there.
with tire arms.
Yeah. yep. I mean, the only gripe I'm gonna say, because I had to say it on here about Chrono Cross, I think what hurts me the most is it actually does loosely correlate to the plot of Chrono Trigger, and it was their answer to a sequel.
So it was a sequel.
It technically is. I think some people call it a spiritual successor, but I believe it was intended to be an actual sequel. But they wanted to not be the same cast and everything. I don't think anything to do with the artwork because that was Toriyama that did all the artwork.
Right, yeah.
But all I'm going to say is it does tie it in. It really upsets me. And I wish someday that they just say okie dokie and we make an actual Chrono Trigger 2. That would be wonderful. There's
Yeah.
no reason why you can't.
Don't see that happening though.
It's never going to, but I would love to see it happen because Chrono Cross, man, no. No
Yeah.
way. No way. After how endearing Chrono Trigger was, man,
I
I
have to
don't know
go
what
back
happened.
and finish Chrono Trigger. I never got through it.
Oh yeah, and remember, yeah, and I love Chrono Trigger because all the different endings, and because once you go to New Game Plus, man, it's all sorts of fun. Just figure out different things at different times. It's
Oh, I didn't
really
know I had a
fun.
New Game Plus.
Oh, that was the idea because you would go through, as gamers know, you go through Chrono Trigger, get New Game Plus, and then what you do is you start going to, because then what happens is, in Chrono Trigger you have the end of time, and you can literally go to the end of time and fight Lavos, which will bring the end of the game. Well, when you go to New Game Plus, you start from the beginning of the game again. And then you can start going to the end of time at different points throughout the game.
You retain your levels in New Game Plus?
I believe so.
So you
Yeah,
get pretty much-
I forget what
yeah.
it does include, but it includes almost
So
everything.
you can
we
take
do.
all the branching story paths
Absolutely.
easily.
And just reloop and start again from the beginning. Who cares? You want to see what happens right after the lean fair in the beginning. Go to end of time. You want to go right after that when you go to medieval times where you meet Frog. Go see the ending then. You're going to get a different ending.
That's
It's
cool.
pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. That was fun. Yeah.
There was a Command and Conquer for PlayStation 1.
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember that.
One of the
Yeah.
few times an RTS made it to
To a console.
Yeah, to a
Yeah,
console.
you're right. Great
there was
call.
there was
yeah.
a Command and Conquer. And
Yeah.
I remember damn, I don't know, it's just on my I just remember my brothers doing the system, like they had two TVs and they could play with each other.
Oh, were they doing like a LAN connection?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
For
right.
Command and Conquer.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. I
PS1?
remember. I think you could.
Yeah.
On PS1, I think there was. I think there was a connection cable.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't know because I never looked into it, but that certainly sounds right. I think it was for specific games. I think there was a data cable.
And Command and Conquer was one of those games, one of the few times a RTS was on the console. So.
And that's a great point because I didn't have PC at the time, and that's how I played RTS was through that. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. So what are we looking at here? Are we is there anything else we're hitting on here? I mean,
I don't think so, man. We talked about a lot of games.
I mean, I guess for my closing, I just want to say that and again, honorable mention. We talked about this in the past cast when we were talking about our own top 10 games. Was it we did, or what was that? My brain blurs from week to
Last week?
Was it? No, not last week. The week before.
Dormant game franchises?
No. That was no. It was what
Games you wish weren't canceled?
No, I think it was just. I think maybe it was, but I don't. Is that when I was talking about Jumping Flash?
Dormant game franchises.
Yeah, okay, it was.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, see, I don't remember, folks. No, never
Yes.
do, never will. So, yeah, I mean, Jumping Flash, was a PS1 game, and
I need to go back and play that.
and
That was really cool.
that was a fabulous game. Fabulous game. Just an honorable mention because I talked about that more in our cast. Folks can listen to.
It looks like
But
a lot of fun.
It is. It's a fun game. But again, folks can hear more of my proud of that in the Aircast. But
Yes.
there you go. Yeah, but I
right.
mean the PS1 though, great console, a great introduction I think to the new world of gaming, and lots of great standout titles that it's interesting to see how it's shaped to modern day where you have this more franchise-based domination. You know, it wasn't like that back then. It was, you have a good idea, can
Yep.
you develop it?
Throw
Do you
it
have someone
on.
to back it? Here you go. Can you pay the
It's
cost?
true, man.
Yeah.
Any other input, Pete?
I remember having this WWF Raw game where you can make your own wrestler. That was pretty awesome.
Yep.
It was back in the days of the WWF when it was awesome. Stone Cold Steel Austin,
Yep. Yep.
Undertaker,
Yep.
back before the merge with WCW. There's a WCW game as well, so
Yeah. Yeah. I was never
Good times.
into wrestling games a ton, but I do remember that one. Yeah.
remember NASCAR '98. Do the paintball cheat. You
No.
shoot paintball guns at other NASCARs.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
No. Oh. No. I learned
Ah,
something
man,
else.
There's so much stuff I have to go back to and fiddle around with on the PS1. I missed a lot of it, but great
Yeah,
system.
so I mean, you guys talk about RPGs a lot. I was young. It was too stupid to play those. So. Like when I played Final Fantasy IX, that was well into the PlayStation 2 days.
Yeah, it was because
Yeah.
that was late. That was late. Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Because I remember playing Final Fantasy IX, and then very shortly after Final Fantasy X coming out.
Yeah,
That's like how late I played that.
but no one wants to talk about 10.
I do.
Well, that's all the time we have, folks.
Keep Chrono Cross in the box. In the box.
Thanks for tuning in to Resume Game. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can always email us at resumegamepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Peter.
No problem.
Welcome, man.
And thank you,
And,
folks.
Yes,
That's it.
we're out.
Deuces.